Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me in another of my wonderful interviews. Today I'm going to be talking to a man who seems to have been at the sharp end of the legal profession. And I'm getting emails all the time now from my viewers, you, who, like me, have had to face enforcement officers, have the threat of having vehicles taken away, and all of that. It's not nice, and it's got to stop. And I'm interested in talking to anybody who's got ideas, suggestions, and all of that, as you know, on this channel. The gentleman I'm talking to today is called Pany, and as I say, he has, he's got a whole litany of things that have happened to him. Let's bring him on the show and find out all about him. Hello, Pany.
Hello, Richard. Thank you, and welcome to everybody. And God bless you, Richard, for bringing us on to share the information. It shows that you do want to make a change, and I so appreciate that. Anyone that wants to make a change.
Well, absolutely, this is what it's all about.
Yeah, and like I said, a lot of truthers, I've been in touch with them. They don't want to know, and it's sad.
That is very strange.
It means there's an ulterior motive. But time will tell, and the truth will always expose itself. Cannot be hidden.
Now, you wanted to just make a statement about what we're going to talk about.
Right. So this is not legal advice. This is procedural advice. So how to do the process to stand as the man or woman you should be, not the person or corporation they want you to be. I actually had a win in 2021, but I didn't realize what I had. I done a motion to dismiss. I don't know if you can see that.
You can see part of it. If you put it more towards your face, yeah, that's it. But we can't read it, obviously.
But anyway, what I do, Richard, if people email me to truthandfactsmatter@outlook.com,
I'll put the link in the description.
Just mention redacted documents, and I'll send them everything. And it will be this case in 2021, and I'll explain the crimes that they had. This is what they sent me afterwards.
Right. Okay. Well,
Continuance. You see the crimes there? There's 5 there. Use of a vehicle on the road without third-party insurance. Failure to provide specimen of blood. Failure to provide specimen of breath. Failure to stop a mechanically propelled vehicle when required, and failure to cooperate with preliminary tests. The decision to discontinue these charges has been taken because there is not enough evidence to provide a realistic prospect of conviction.
Oh, right.
No new evidence was produced. All I did was motion to dismiss.
A motion
stamped by the court, though. That's a big key.
Stamped by court. I can see you've got thumbprints in red ink.
Yes, they're not really necessary.
Right.
But you do need 2 witnesses to prove that you signed that paper.
Right. So just explain can you tell us the story of that? How the whole thing came about and what the
one, I did have insurance. So I don't think that I'm just going rogue, and I do recommend that anyone using this procedure, don't abuse it, because you will end up in jail for a long time if you hurt someone.
Yeah.
Go reckless, 100 mile an hour on a 30 mile an hour road. Sorry, this isn't for you. This is for the people that are responsible. It's late at night. There's no cars on the road. You cannot be restricted by what another man has put in front of you, as long as you're doing what is safe, that you believe is safe, and you control your vehicle. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
You've got these 50 mile an hour speed limits, and there's no people working on the road. There's no cars on the road. So why is it unsafe to go 60 or 70 if you feel you can control your vehicle?
But you wouldn't go 120?
No, of course not. Yes.
No, that's so you're being reasonable for the circumstances.
You have to be responsible.
Yes.
In anything you do.
Right.
That's what is going to make things better and get people to be responsible and learn that it does work and it can protect you for being responsible. Yeah. Not just being responsible, but applying the facts and try and bring the rule of law to the table. Because what they're doing, they're taking our court time. The courts that we go to and think it's a court, it's not. All HMCTS are administration. They're not courts. and they bring you to that venue and make you believe it's a court. And we should be able to access that venue just like they are.
Yes.
So that's what I'm trying to do, is access to get justice, not to get them just to back away.
Right. So,
Yeah.
to just go through that case, so we get closure on that case, so we
Right.
know
How it
what.
all
Yeah.
started. I started studying in 2015, and I couldn't believe what I was learning. And in 2019, a young boy that got sent home to die had leukemia. We healed him with cannabis oil. Then his family decided to go back to the hospital, and they convinced them to go on maintenance, and one dose killed him. And that made me go, I need to get up and start doing some field work. And that was 2019. Right. So I started doing field work. You see some of it on my YouTube channel. And I was doing it and realizing they're not even following their own rules. And that's what happened with this case. Because, yes, I made a mistake. I put a private plate on my vehicle, and my dad was on palliative care, just lost him 2 weeks before, and I didn't call the insurance to put that number plate on the insurance. But my point is, I know for a fact the old plate stays with the car, never goes anywhere.
Right.
So I believe they knew I had insurance. They wouldn't let my friend get my laptop to show them I do have a policy. It's just a private plate. And in their paperwork, it says I wouldn't let my friend get my laptop.
Right. Okay. So
they're just doing all the tricks they can do.
Yes.
But anyway, so what happened was, they were behind me, and I've got their 2020 handbook, police operational handbook. It's a Blackstone handbook, yeah? And it's supposed to be issued to all the police officers. In there, it says they cannot pull you over unless they believe you committed a crime, or it's a survey they're doing. That's what it says in there. So even if they do believe you've committed a crime, they must identify themselves. And it was 3 o'clock in the morning. I slowed down to 50 miles an hour on the M25, and they didn't come next to me. They stayed behind me. And I was driving at the time a £55,000 Mercedes. It wasn't on finance. And I've heard people getting their car stolen in that fraudulent way. Someone putting blue lights in, you know? And I was on. So if they come next to me, I would have pulled over.
Yeah, you could see that they were police. Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, I've been in the same situation where you don't know who's behind you, and they're very close, and they're just following you. And it's a very eerie feeling.
Even when I slowed to 50, they were going like this behind me, push, and I'm like, "What are you doing? Right, come and identify yourself," because that is their rules, not mine.
Yes.
So I get home, I get onto my driveway, I've got my phone out, open the door, my phone went flying. They dragged me out. One went round the side, headlock, kicking me, punching me.
Heavens.
It was so bad that they took me to the custody suite, and the sergeant there said, "We can't take him like this. He's got to go to the hospital first." That's how bad it was.
Blimey.
And I didn't fight back because I knew if I fight back, I've lost.
Yeah.
And I said, "I know what you're doing. I'm not giving it to you. Why are you attacking me?" Because when I was a kid, the police would come round, they'll take a statement with a little black book, they'll go take all their statements, and they'll see who needs to be arrested if they could arrest someone. And they'll go back and do the arrest. And the reason it's changed, in 1985, the CPS started. Before that, every police officer, every constable was the prosecutor. And we need to go back to that, because they would not touch you and harm you if they know it's wrong.
Right.
But these officers now are being told to do something that's unlawful, and they don't have a clue.
No.
But if we go back to them being the prosecutors, they would know what's right and what's wrong. They would know what can make a conviction and what won't. And we go back to the rule of law.
So what did they do?
That's a difficult thing to do. Yes. So they beat me up, and then they tried to steal my car. I've got all the evidence of it.
Right. So when you say they tried to steal your car, what do you mean? They impounded it or something like
They
that?
took my car off the driveway
Yeah.
while I was in the cell. They released me, and I called the custody suite. They said they don't know nothing about my car. And I recorded these calls. We'll get back to you. A couple of days later, I called again. We don't know nothing about your car. It's nothing to do with us. I'm like, well, you took my car. My cameras show that you drove it off my driveway. So where is my car?
Yeah.
I ended up calling Essex Police because I live in Essex. And they sent me a voicemail. So don't answer unknown calls. And I've got that recorded as well. It says, we don't know where your car is. We think you should speak to the Met. And they knew where my car was because someone that works in a scrapyard said, give me the registration number and I'll find it for you. And I said,
Yeah.
really? Gave the registration number, got back to me. It's in Charlton Police Pound.
Wow.
And one more day, they would have said it'd been crushed. If it was on lease or finance, they would have told me where it was to go and pay the money.
Mm.
This was how I know they tried to steal it. And to put the cherry on top, I just got all my documents, went to Charlton Police Pound, didn't call them, went in, said, I'm here to collect my car. Gentleman was lovely. He says, okay, this much money, blah, blah, blah. Show us your paperwork. Showed him. And then he says, okay, let me get your car for you. I said, can you just let me know where it got taken from, please? I had my body cam on as well at the time.
Right.
I said, was it driven? He said, we don't drive anything. We will put anything on a truck. I said, because it was driven off my drive in Essex. Policeman drove it off the drive. He said, no. And he looked on the screen and he said, we collected it from Fresh Wolf Custody Suite. The custody suite they took me to, and I called 2 times, recorded the calls. They don't know where my car is. And Essex Police actually assisted in this conspiracy to defraud or conspiracy for theft, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Because they damn well knew where it was. For them to tell me speak to the Met, they knew it was in the Met's hands. They knew it was in Charlton Police Pound. Because if someone who works in a scrapyard can find that, I'm sure Essex Police can find that.
Well, you would hope.
Right. And he said, like I said, he said, Fresh Wolf Custody Suite. So doesn't that prove that they tried to steal my car?
Yeah.
So they've taken me there, they've beaten me, and they're telling me they don't know where my car is, nothing to do with them. And it was at their custody suite. It got taken from there by Police Pound. So I got the car back anyway and all of that. I tried to make a claim. I sent it to Chancery first. They sent it back with my check, with a comp slip. This needs to go to the Queen's Bench. So I sent it to the Queen's Bench, a different check. They sent it back to me. This is ludicrous. With a comp slip, it needs to go to the Queen's Bench. I just like, this is crazy.
Do you mean the Queen's Bench returned it to say it needs to go to the Queen's Bench?
Correct. Which is not correct, but that is what they've done. It's ludicrous. And when I went to the Royal Courts of Justice, this has been going on since 2021.
Right.
And the guy laughed at me there. And I showed him the picture of my face, black and blue. I said, is this funny, mate? And it still hasn't been actioned. So that's why I'm trying to access a real court of law, criminal court of law, that follow the rule of law, because it's all in their literature that it exists.
Yes.
Once I access it, then I'll get justice.
So the discontinuance that you referred to is a document that says the case that you're trying to get going cannot be...
No, it's their case.
Oh, their case.
Yeah.
So they made a case against you.
For that, I told you the crimes: driving without insurance, failing to stop, failing to breathalyze,
Yeah.
And sending a motion to dismiss, which I learned about motions from that Dr. Greaves, How to Win in Court. He's good for civil claims, but we don't want civil claims. We want criminal. But it helped me move the court. I learned that a motion is moving the court. And I put failure for motion to dismiss. I would like common law jurisdiction, acknowledgement of I man, demand beneficiary status, demand trustee status of clerk. I put all of this down in there. And then I put a fee schedule, and my status.
So what? So just remind me, what do you call that document?
A motion, it's just a motion to dismiss.
A motion to dismiss. So when would you use that?
You'll use that when a frivolous claim comes against you in a criminal court where there's no victim.
Right.
You're dismissing it. You're moving the court to dismiss it. And then you're giving them an order, if they don't dismiss, what you require to move forward.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. And you get that witnessed, as you said.
And then you
and
put
all
a
of
counterclaim at the end as well. Because we've learned that without the counterclaim, they will still bring you into court. But what they're doing now, even with the counterclaim, they're still bringing people back into court. I've got 2 people now today that they've done this procedure and they were totally ignored because they know that people are using someone's template, basically. And one lady, she stood on it. So they couldn't trick her. They just adjourned it.
Oh, right.
The other guy, they caught him into a trick. They recontracted with him and they gave him 9 points and a £555 fine. But there's a procedure to deal with that as well. It's called a void order. Motion for void order. So once an order is done by a court,
yeah,
instead of motion to dismiss, it's motion to void order.
So what does that mean in layman's terms?
Well, it means it's done wrong. It shouldn't have been done. It's void.
Right.
And then you put your reasons for it to be void.
Yes.
And then you put, if you do not void, then you do this and this and this. And what they've done with void orders, they're still giving to debt recoveries to come and collect the money, but the points are not going on the license, which means the void orders worked. And you can tell they're corporations because I've dealt with 3 bailiffs. On one of them, it was 6 points, £914 fine. This was before I realized what I had. I started listening to other people, changing my paperwork. And I realized I had it in 2021. And I only realized this in May last year. So I used it on another case in a Crown Court and it destroyed them. It was more powerful in the Crown Court than in the magistrate.
And why is that?
Because the Crown Court, they have more, they have to follow the rule of law.
Right.
Especially
is that because it's recorded?
The higher you go,
yeah.
The less they're restricted by statute.
Right.
And this is what we need to change. All the lower courts are restricted by statute law, the judges.
I see.
Not by the rule of law.
Right. And is it because, I mean, in a magistrate's court, they don't record anything, but in more criminal courts, the higher the court you go, it is recorded on the public record.
Yes.
Yeah. So then they're having to, they can't just throw things out willy-nilly.
Well, I don't think my case was put on the public record.
Right. And so how would you, I mean, presumably you can go back and say, I'd like to have a look at the public record for this.
I haven't done that, but I did ask them for evidence of what happened. And it was like a Mickey Mouse document.
Yes.
Didn't even look official.
Gosh.
But the judge reversed everything. And the judge didn't like me. The judge said I said something that I didn't say. And she actually came out and said the same thing. There's no prospect of the Crown winning this case. And she said, I'm going to have to say the Crown hasn't turned up. She said, normally it's the defendant that doesn't turn up. So we're getting results.
Yes. I mean, that's
incredible. What we need is results of getting the rule of law and attacking back.
Yes. So having gone through all of that process, what you say you've got a YouTube channel, so you're giving procedural advice to help people who are in what sort of type of problems does the procedural advice help?
See, people are messaging me for credit cards and council tax and all this and that. There is ways to go for them as well, but I don't want to start guiding people with that until I get this private prosecution done, because that finishes everyone that's broken the law.
Right. So tell me about private prosecution then.
Right. They try and tell you can't do it, but in their literature, anyone can do it. They tell you it costs a lot of money, around £8,500, and it says if you require a barrister.
Right. So if you don't require a barrister,
it's free if you don't.
Right. So the illusion.
Yep.
I mean, we're all, we've all seen these films in which they've got the the barrister standing there, and you assume that you've got to have a barrister because it'd be very fearful to stand in court and represent yourself. But if you mug up and get the knowledge and understand the system, you can do it, and it doesn't cost, as you say.
And I believe in a real court of law that follows the rule of law, you can get that barrister moved out of the building before you even start.
Oh, right.
I believe you say to the judge, Your Honor, we've got interlopers here. The only people that should be in here are people with first-hand knowledge. Claimant, defendant, witnesses. But it's not claimant, defendant, it's prosecutor and wrongdoer.
Right.
The language is different as well. And that's where they've blocked me at the moment, because they accepted my documents as I'm a prosecutor against a wrongdoer and 2 witness statements. This is huge. Without 2 witnesses, it's very difficult to win anything. But with 2 witnesses and a claim, only a trial by jury can defend that, because it's power.
Yes.
And so they've got first-hand knowledge. So with anyone that doesn't have first-hand knowledge should not be in this room.
So you're talking about not the civil business, like you said, with the credit cards, criminal stuff. So what class? Let's just examine.
It's all criminal.
Yeah, well, it's
everything
all
they're doing is criminal. Everything.
I appreciate that, and they're not using
That's
their
why
own
they're
rules.
blocking it and don't want us to find it. They don't show you how to access it. I've done it trial and error.
Where's the line between what would be classed as civil and criminal? At what point do you suddenly find that you're now dealing with a criminal?
The difference between civil and criminal. Civil is a dispute, a debate. Someone's done a contract and they haven't adhered to the whole contract. That's civil.
Right.
It's a disagreement. And I keep telling them, this is not a complaint. If you cause someone loss or harm, full stop, it's criminal.
Right. So if somebody steals something, they throw a brick through your window or whatever it is, that's criminal. Yeah.
Someone puts their hands on you, it's an assault, it's criminal.
Right.
And it all comes under the subheading of trespass.
So trespass used to be a civil case, didn't it? But it has changed. I mean,
trespass has always been a crime. And it's trespass upon my property.
Right.
And your property is everything that's proper to you. Things that are like your car. It's only yours. It's proper to you. Even your feelings.
Even your feelings.
And that's why common law is not written. Because something that might hurt your feelings might not hurt mine.
Right.
If your heartbeat goes to 130 beats per minute because someone said something to you, that's a trespass. But they don't want people to know that.
Right. Hard to prove, I imagine.
It is hard to prove. It is hard to prove. So I wouldn't say to do a trespass for that. But for these blatant things that you have evidence for, like I said, you've got 2 witnesses that will get on the stand and swear under oath for the penalty of perjury of first-hand knowledge of that crime. The only way to fight that is a trial by jury. But they don't want us to access this.
Right. So in your case, with the car being stolen by a police officer, you've got the footage of that. That's obviously admissible in court. If you could only get in there to show them this.
Well, I can go one better than that. Because of the technology we have, I can play that to 2 people, 2 man or woman, and they can do a sworn statement that that's what they saw. And they'll swear on oath. It's the sworn statements that get you the access.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Because I tried doing the private prosecution. All private prosecutions, they begin in a magistrate court. And then you've got summary offences, you've got either way offences, and you've got indictable only offences. It's quite complex. It is quite complex.
I mean, I was just thinking how, people will be put off by this in and of itself because of the complexity.
But what they should understand is once you file this, I don't believe anyone that's done wrong will go and stand up to that. Like today, what happened? One got railroaded, the other one got an adjournment. Why is there an adjournment? You filed your paperwork, you've got the date you filed it, they've ignored it, and now you've got two witnesses. You had two witnesses when you filed it, so they can start the private prosecution and tell the magistrate court, I just want it filed for now because I need to deal with this without coming to court, this last resort. So you send them the stamped prosecution claim with the two sworn witness statements stamped by the court. You cease and desist, or I will continue with this claim. That's just to shut them down. But we want to get in the court and we want justice. We can't have them doing crimes and then in the civil system, you're guilty till proven innocent. And in the criminal, you're innocent till proven guilty.
Yeah, and this is what people are finding in the civil. I mean, it shouldn't be that way around.
That's right. And also, in the civil, the man or woman that committed the crime is not responsible. The agent is never responsible. It's always the principal. That's how they get out of the criminal side. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, so when you say they're not responsible for what?
For coming and taking your car.
Oh, I see.
For doing the crime that they've done.
They're not responsible?
No.
That seems the wrong way around.
For the police coming and hurting you.
Yes.
It's the police commissioner or the chief constable that gets done in the civil side. Right.
And so the individuals that have done you harm are not liable and you can't bring an action against them?
In civil.
You
can bring a criminal action because in criminal, it's whoever done the wrong or the harm or the loss.
Right. And is that the civil because it's corporations and contract law? Is that what that comes down to?
Yeah, it's because they made their own rules for it.
Yes.
Which is all unlawful.
Yes.
Yeah?
This
is a common law country.
Yes.
We only have one legal system here. And this is from the Cambridge University I got this from.
Right.
We only have one legal system, not a dual system. We only have common law.
Yes. I was going to say, shouldn't we have only one system? Otherwise, it's very confusing.
Well, they've created this administration system, calling it legal. That's not lawful.
Right. No, yes. I get that.
It's all administration. The whole of HMCTS, they told me yesterday in the Crown Court, we are not we are not legally trained. We're administrators. A woman in the Crown Court told me that yesterday.
And isn't it a fact that the magistrates, they're not trained, they're just volunteers, they're not even paid? Am I correct?
But I mean, I'm seeing now that even the legal advisors are not trained.
Well, how can they? I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, because when I went to file my prosecution, I filed it. They sent me the document to do the summons warrant for arrest. I changed it back to wrongdoer and prosecutor, put all the information that they wanted on their document, and I created a similar one. And they stamped it as well. And I had my witnesses with me. They were meant to swear us in and convene court.
Right.
And they didn't. And I had two witnesses that heard the man say, we don't have anyone here qualified to do this. And I said to him, so all day we've been here,
yes,
people are getting convicted, going to jail, getting points, fines, and no one is qualified? That's disgusting.
So if they're not qualified, then who's... I mean, somebody's got to be... Yeah, it's not...
Administration, they're administering. That's all they're doing. And they're doing it in our courthouses to make us believe it's court.
Can you escalate a civil case to the criminal court so that you get out of that administration system?
No. What you can do, you can actually file a civil claim and a criminal claim. One's for the money, the civil's for the money, the other one's for justice.
Right. Okay. And
they created the civil and equity because people were going to jail, but the one that had the loss didn't get their money back.
Yes.
So that's why they created that.
And of course, now we see with council taxes that they're using bulk hearings and all of that, where they just hire a room on the side.
Yeah, it's all
So
fraudulent.
absolutely, and we've been following those
I was
sort of
doing one
things.
today with my daughter's car. It was a parking thing. Really, I should have paid it, but I was learning at the time.
Mm.
It's gone to about 8 different recoveries. And then we get a letter saying you need to fill this out. And it's a Mickey Mouse, not even a court stamp. You know them circles with the crest on it?
Yeah.
That's not a court stamp. That's a tribunal stamp. A court stamp is professional. It looks like this. Can you see that?
Yeah.
It's got the address of the court, the name of the court, and the date.
And it's got the crown on it
Not
as
just a
well.
circle with a crest saying county court,
Right, which is pretty
which
meaningless.
is a tribunal stamp. It's not a court stamp. We're getting there slowly.
Yes. So do you think more people are waking up to all of this? I mean, I've been talking about this over the last year on the show, and
Very slow pigeon steps.
yeah.
Most people think it's an easy fix and they're getting a template from me.
Right. So what do you say to people then who do that, who they think a template is the answer? Because I've seen these sort of templates with other truthers, and they say all you've got to do is download this, put your name in the thing, and
They
it
can do
clearly
that,
right,
but if they can't stand on it, that's where they will lose.
right, because they don't understand that what it is they have just signing their
At
name
first,
to.
they could have used it as a template,
Yeah.
but now they've realized so many people are using it and using it incorrectly and not knowing what they're doing. Now they're testing who knows what they're doing and who doesn't.
Yes. And we've certainly seen councils now putting up, if you challenge the council tax, people are obviously using templates, and they're saying, oh, you can't use the free man on the land argument anymore, which presumably is putting some people off, but those who know what they're talking about will go, well, that's a load of old nonsense.
And
Because
that's
we
why
are.
my documents work, because they're all my work.
Right. And
I've
that's what.
researched and go with everybody. I watch everything, your shows, everything. And I take what I believe I can put together.
Yeah.
I've never used a template.
And it is clearly, once you've done these sort of things, it's very empowering because you're learning as you go. But
And that is
starting
my
out,
journey,
yes,
is to teach people not to do it for them.
yes,
You cannot
no,
stand on your throne and keep that crown on your head. I'm sorry, I can't help you.
right,
I can give you the tools and the knowledge, but you need to be confident. And I've been there. Even my case in September, my stomach was turning. But you have to stand on what you've got.
and it's the fear they work with, isn't it?
That's
That's
how
what
they
they're
win.
pushing down your throat. Yes,
That's how they win. People panic and they answer a question they shouldn't have answered.
yeah,
They should have looked down, look at their paperwork, deep breathe, get themselves back, and put your question that they didn't qualify. Don't answer their question. If they're not going to qualify your questions, why should you answer theirs? You've
well,
done your
good
due
point.
diligence. You've got your paperwork stamped and everything. They're ignoring it. Both of them today, they said, the judges said, no, we haven't read your paperwork. What they should have done was, well, do you want time to go through it?
Yes,
But the good thing is they got 2 witnesses. So now they have witnesses to these crimes. And all the other side has, the CPS, is a camera. So eventually these guys will win. It's going to be a slugfest. But what they're doing is building a claim, building a case on the rule of law. And all they're doing is exposing themselves on the crimes they're doing.
yes, providing more evidence against them.
That's right. Yeah. As long as you have it. I've had someone message me, oh, your paperwork doesn't work. I said, well, what did you do? Did you have 2 witnesses? Some of them say, well, they wouldn't stamp it, so I posted it. But I'm telling you, the stamp is important because it proves they've had it.
Right.
Special delivery doesn't mean anything. They tell you post it or email it. And because they're pushing back so much, that proves it's powerful. The first guy that got a discontinuance, and he's on my website, on my YouTube, Dan, testimonial. Lovely guy. And he followed everything. And within 2 days, he said, I can share this. He redacted it. He got the same discontinuance.
And if you get one of these discontinuance, that's it, is it? It's
Finished.
effectively
Not just
saying the
finished.
case is right.
It's discontinued, and they also tell you you have 35 days to revive it. You've got 35 days if you want to revive it, and you can claim expenses
Oh,
for
right.
speeding.
So why would you want to revive it if they're against you and they decided it's effectively case closed?
Do you know what's funny? This 2021, I didn't go for expenses. I went to revive it.
Did you?
Yeah, because I said it's my turn now, guys.
Oh,
Back
right.
your play.
Yes.
They beat me up and they hurt me. They tried to
Well,
steal
yes,
my
no,
car.
absolutely. So if you've got the evidence for additional,
That's
I mean,
right.
but if it's just a drive, if it's just a driving thing, and you've and they hadn't beaten you up, and they hadn't, then
That's different. Yeah, you wouldn't want to revive that,
no,
but you still can,
right,
because what this has proven,
because
if there's no evidence now, there was no evidence from day one. So you still have a claim if you want to revive it,
yes,
no matter what it is.
yes,
Because
oh,
there
I
was
see,
no
yes,
victim, there was no
there's,
crime. And now they've given you an agreement. There was no victim, no crime, and no evidence. That's literally what they've done. You understand?
yeah, no, I'd not heard of this discontinuance, so this is all new to me.
And they're
So
not giving them any more. And that's,
what do
I
you mean?
believe it's my fault, because on YouTube I put on there, now you've got a claim against the CPS because they never had a claim from day one. No one produced more evidence.
Right,
So how
so
did you have evidence in the beginning if you don't have any now and no more
yes,
has been produced? Work that one out.
absolutely. So they've stopped doing these discontinuances.
Well, since Dan's one and the testimonial, no one's got it. They're just retrying them.
Right, to see if they can get it right the second time round.
To get them off, to see if they can stand on their paperwork. That's why it's
Yes.
important for you to understand it, to stand on it and be on your throne, and don't let them take you off.
So it must be very daunting just for to take people through the process of the court. It must be very daunting for people if they've downloaded, say, the template, they've worked it all out, they know the knowledge that you've provided, but they're not using the template just by signing at the top and at the bottom, and there they are for the first time in court, heart beating.
Yeah.
Thinking, oh my God, what is
Even
going to
people
happen?
with knowledge have their heart beating. You know,
Yeah, no, I'm
the
sure
Crown
I
Court
would.
could put me away for life. I was actually, and the judge didn't like me, told me I said something which I didn't even say. Luckily, my friend was in the gallery and recorded it,
Right.
which proves I didn't say what she said she heard.
Yes, but you have to prove that after the event. He can't stand up and say, hang on a minute, he didn't say that, presumably.
Well, when I left the room, he said she was asking everyone if they heard it.
Oh, right.
And it should be recorded. It's a court of record, isn't it?
Yes.
So there's a lot of crazy things that need to be sorted out. And I said to her, excuse me, madam, I actually said, Your Honor. And I said, people don't say that. But it just, when I rewind it, I was like, wow, I said, Your Honor. Because I was angry. But I was trying to hold myself. And I said, you have a duty of care. You have a certain etiquette that you have to treat us equal here. I said, I don't even have those words in my vocabulary. Right. How dare you?
How do they cope if you are talking to them like that, as directly as you just indicated?
Well, at first she was shouting.
Shouting?
Yeah. You called me a silly twat. I heard you.
My goodness.
And I said, no. I said, see you at 12. Because I mumbled it and put my paperwork. Because she said, see you at 12. I asked for my paperwork back. I'll see you at 12, Mr. Pierdulu. I was like, I put my paperwork together. Okay, see you at 12. How dare you call me a silly twat? I was shocked.
Yes.
I was shocked.
She had taken it completely the wrong way. I
do not even use those words. They're not part of my vocabulary, I said to her.
Yes.
How dare you? You have a duty of care. And all I wanted was my paperwork, because I had to give my originals to them. So I tell people now, take copies. Because if they got your original and they don't give it back and it gets lost, you've got nothing.
Yes.
The originals is your court of record. It's your call. That's why they want you to post it in.
So it can get lost.
Correct. And the girl today, bless her, she didn't get points or fines. They just adjourned it for another day. But in the morning, I messaged her what we already went over. So you do not speak. And I said, you just tell them, look at my paperwork. And I said to her, you have copies, and give them time if they need it. And then I said, the only way to move forward, if you refuse my motion to dismiss, bring forth the man or woman I have wronged, and then we proceed to my counter. Now, if she said that, it wouldn't have been adjournment.
Right. She didn't say that.
Right. It doesn't matter because they didn't get her again.
Right.
She stood
So
on
if they,
her throne. But all they've done
yes.
is they've rescheduled to try and trick her again.
So, and that's an interesting phrase that you just said there, bring forward the man or woman who has been wronged.
That should finish it.
Yeah, because they can't.
Yeah. One of my cases, where the one where I got the appeal because I objected to incomplete evidence. And I said to her, is this a civil court or a criminal? It's criminal court, Mr. Bearden. I said, well, if it's criminal, where's the man or woman accusing me I've caused them loss or harm?
Yes.
And how I learned in the appeal, with that judge that's shouting at me, after 2 hours, I was in the CAF. I was building a case against her or from her own judiciary rules of her care and her duty to both people there. But I didn't even need to get to that. We went back in. She didn't even look at me. Straight to the prosecutor. She says, I believe you don't have advocacy rights. I didn't even know what that meant.
No.
Until afterwards.
And what does it mean? For the sake of...
An advocate, he's someone that represents someone else in a formal setting, an arbitration, a court, a tribunal, something like that. They advocating for that person.
Right. And,
right.
And so she was saying you didn't have those rights. Should you have
because there was no victim. Who are they advocating for?
Right. Okay.
So that's what I learned from that. I didn't even know that stuff.
No.
And that's something else that this girl could have used, but because she hasn't got the knowledge and the confidence, I didn't want to confuse her anymore. What I've given her, I believe, is enough. But you just say to them, excuse me, the prosecutor is an advocate, yes? Yes. So who are they advocating for?
Yes.
Bring them out.
There's
no one there.
No, exactly. No, when you put it like that, it becomes bleeding obvious. At first, you sort of, because there's so much legalese and so many technical words. But you just explained so very easily. The prosecutor, you're an advocate. And
they don't have advocacy rights. The judge showed me that. A Crown Court judge gave me that education.
So because there's no victim, where's the crime?
And then she actually said the same words that are on this discontinuance. You know, where it says, there is not enough evidence for a realistic prospect of conviction. After she said, we believe you don't have advocacy rights, she said, well, looking at the case, and it's been a while, we see there's not a realistic prospect of the Crown getting a conviction.
Now, surely they would have known that right from the beginning if there's no victim.
They just ignore your paperwork, that's why.
Right.
But because I got it stamped, it took me 2 hours in the St. Albans Crown Court, 2 hours, and I kept saying to the guy, I'm sorry, this is not a threat, but I want your name because now you're perverting the course of justice. The admin told me there's an admin here and I can come and get my documents stamped. He said, leave them with me. I said, no. This is my court of record. You take verified copies and give me my copies back. 2.5 hours it took, but I got it done. And that is what gives it clout, because I've had many cases and the only two that I got results, they both had court stamps. And that's what I realized. They both had court stamps. Yeah?
Yeah.
With the court name and the date. Don't accept any other stamp. They'll give you a tribunal stamp, which is, let me show you one of them. Just so you and the audience can understand the difference.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, what's fascinating is that the audience, and myself included, will be aware that there is, if you've not been in court and had to stand up and represent yourself, there's a whole load of information.
Not even a court case. That's what people need to understand.
Right, but there's, I agree. But there's a whole load of procedure about just submitting the papers.
Let me just show you that. This is part of the private prosecution. I just want to show you the stamp again.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yes.
So it's got
Just
the address of the court and the date, yeah, and
yeah.
the name of the court.
And this is the thing. I mean, probably need to get somebody to go through the whole, just the process of going to court, how you get the papers in, how you get them stamped,
Right.
the
That was my
goings.
private prosecution, what I just showed you.
Yes.
Now, when I went to do the warrant for arrest and get sworn in, all of a sudden, the stamp has become a tribunal stamp.
Oh, I
Can you see
see.
that?
Yeah.
That's a tribunal stamp. That's not a court stamp.
So
There's
who
no
does that?
address.
Is that in the court?
That's in the court. And he told me the other stamp's broken. I've got 2 witnesses on that.
Oh, I see. So it's just like, I'll just use this.
I'm
This
discovering so much here
right.
by putting myself on the line and doing things to try and do what's right.
And do you expose this in your YouTube channel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I do the private prosecution, I'm going to put the process exactly what I've done with this dismissal process. I need to show people how to do a void order because a lot of people are getting in touch with me and it's too late.
Right. So they need to know well in advance.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because we've done void orders and they're still sending debt recovery for the money, but the points don't go on, which means the order worked, the void order.
Right.
And they're just still trying to get the money out of you.
But they're still trying to get the money. They're not worried about the points then, presumably.
Right.
They just want the cash.
And I want people to understand that that document they get, the order, is not a real court order. Because if it was, it will be high court sheriff bailiffs coming to get your goods.
Not
enforcement,
private companies.
Private enforcement. You understand?
Yeah.
That's the evidence there. They're exposing themselves slowly.
Yes, and this is, I mean, more people like yourself doing this, testing this, putting it on YouTube, and more of the guests that I've had on there. We are, I mean, as you say, it's pitifully slow that people are beginning to realise this, but at least it is getting out there. People, and of course, people do use YouTube to find answers about certain things in court, so it is very useful.
And it's sad because I do think that it's hindered me. I should have done this process first and then put it all out there.
Right.
But then I think if I didn't do that, this guy Dan, all these other people that are not getting arrested, not getting points, they would have been getting all of that.
Yes.
So I've got to juggle it and maybe bite the bullet there a bit, and just say it's my fault.
Just show me your sweatshirt there, because you've got a brilliant slogan on there.
Yeah, you know what? I've done a few, and I was gonna, because I don't make money, and I wanted to do donation, put the size, put your address, and I'll send it to you. Donation, £35 for a jumper, £20 for a t-shirt with the same logo.
Yeah.
We need to put it out there so people see it. And what does that mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Even when I got them made, and they couldn't believe it, they all gathered round listening to me. We have to expose them and stop this crime from happening.
Yeah, and it's
soul destroying, and it's actually killing people.
Yes, no, I know. I mean, the worry you get from it's it's so silly and it's so avoidable, but it's it eats people on the inside out, and that's not good. As they worry about if there's that knock on the door, and are they going to come in and take, and what rights
even myself,
do they have? Yeah.
3 years I lost myself from the corona. Well, I used to go on 2-3 holidays a year. Well, since 2019, I never went anywhere.
Mm.
And it was beginning of last year. I said, I've had enough. I need to start. I'm losing myself. I'm going to get sick from this.
Yes.
And I went on a few holidays, and that's why in May, I came back from Mallorca, looked at my paperwork, and I went, oh my God, I've had it since 2021. I just didn't realize I had it. Just so much going on.
Yeah. Well, our lives are so full of stuff. Exactly. And what with the cameras and all the ULEZ stuff, and that we seem to be being penalised left, right, and centre, and these people don't seem to have any humanity in them whatsoever. It's been bred out of them, especially the police and people like that. And
I've had about 10 ULEZ since I got my license back. I've insured my van. The license is clean. There's never been an issue of a ban. And now they've done the ULEZ up to around the M25, which is right on my doorstep. So everywhere I go now, it says ULEZ.
Mm.
They send me a letter. I just write back to them, please show me where a man or woman cannot travel from A to B in their private conveyance. Also, this conveyance never needed to pay any fees when I bought it. So if you feel you need to now, you need to pay me and buy this off me so I can get something that maybe does work that way.
Oh,
but we shouldn't. Who can tell you you have to pay this? That's why they're doing it. That's why they made the congestion bigger. That's why they made the ULEZ bigger, because people are just taking it and moaning. So they're going, look, let's make more money. Let's make it even bigger.
Yeah, no, they're getting away with it.
That's right. And we're allowing it. That's the problem.
Yes.
And we've let our public servants treat us like we're the servants. And it's not on. It needs to go back. And they're not even public servants anymore. They're corporations acting as public servants. They don't even have oaths anymore. Because what corporation has an oath?
Well, yeah, how can you have an oath to the public if you're a corporate? You're a private company there to make a profit.
But I believe the judges that are not restricted by statute, I believe they have an oath.
Well, I'd like to see it. I'd like to see.
Well, listen, I've got a learning book, and it shows in there all the judges, all the courts, all the way, how to address them. And on the right-hand side, it says, this is a questions and answer book, a learning book for learning the law, yeah? And it says, county court, judge, you are called a Mr. or Miss, whatever, Mrs., and they're restricted by statute law. Then you've got circuit judge, can be in the county court, in a magistrate, restricted by statute. Then you've got Crown Court, which has a couple of different type of judges, and it says restricted by statute, but some of them I know are not. Then once you get to the higher courts, it all says not restricted by statute. That's the rule of law. And we shouldn't have to go through them 3 lower courts that are unlawful to get. Because any appeal that you do from a lower court, it has to be an appeal and an objection on a point of law, not a procedure, not on facts. Doesn't matter if they lie to you, as long as they followed the procedure and you didn't object to anything, you're not going to get an appeal. But if you object to something on a point of law, the appeal is free. But it just takes so long to get it done. And they didn't even want to do it as well. I got an email from the Crown Court saying you've missed the deadline on your appeal. So I sent them certificate of service. And then all of a sudden, they've got a case for me.
You've got to know
fraudulent?
Yeah, well, it's absolutely.
That's the Crown Court now.
I mean, this is the sort of thing that puts people off, because not only have you got to learn all the procedures and what goes on if it was to go properly, but if they're now doing fraudulent stuff left, right and centre, it's kind of so confusing for you to sort of work out the myriad of nonsense that you're being thrown at. Is that genuine? Is that true? Is that fraudulent? Where am I? I mean, it's very hard for people to... But
it was comforting to actually get everything reversed.
Yeah, I bet. Absolutely.
Because I thought, oh, she's going to railroad me. I'm actually thinking she could put me away for life, this woman.
Yes.
I'm in a Crown Court here.
Yes. Luckily, she didn't.
Well,
I say luckily,
my paperwork was good enough, and I didn't
Yes.
lose myself, you know?
Yes.
I had an anger issue growing up, and I learned to deal with that, and I'm so grateful I learned to deal with that, because that's what's helping me now. Because I see people getting crazy, and I'm like, calm down. But they've never had that anger to be able to control it. Like when they were beating me up, anyone else would have been fighting back.
Well, of course, you'd naturally feel that you've got to sort of protect yourself, wouldn't you? But well done to you for...
I just kept saying, what are you guys doing? This is crazy. I was shouting it and screaming for someone to come and see what's happening.
Yes.
Like 4 o'clock in the morning outside, and it's pitch black where I live. They turn the lights off at 1.
No wonder. They can't see what they're doing. Pany, it's been fascinating to talk to you, and I'm sorry about your situations that you've gone through, but you're clearly stronger as a result of learning all of this. Where can people find your YouTube channel?
Right, the YouTube, oh dear, 917, it's Truth and Facts Matter. Let me get the exact. And when I do the private prosecution, it would be nice if you can get me on again to let people know about that process, because that is how we're going to get back at them.
Yes.
At the moment, like I said, they go keep saying it's a civil claim, and the wrongdoer doesn't get harmed. The principal pays money, and it's normally taxpayers' money. We don't want that. We want
No.
the wrongdoer, so the next police officer doesn't do the same wrong because his colleague went to jail this time.
Quite right. Yes. So
Same with
it's
judges.
truth and facts matter.
Yep. Let me just find it.
On YouTube, of course. I'll
Yeah,
put it
but
in.
there's numbers you've got to put because it won't come up if you just put truth and facts.
Oh right. Okay. Well, I'll put it. I'll put
But
it in
if
the.
they email me at
Yes.
truthandfactsmatter@outlook.com, I will forward the link, everything, paperwork redacted, what they need to move forward, and what to do if they require more assistance.
Right. Okay. And I'll see if I can find the YouTube and put the link in the description to make life a little easy for people.
Here we go. Truth and Facts Matter 7271.
7271.
Yeah.
I'm just putting it in there now. Here we go. Yeah, I've got it. I've got
And
it
there's
there.
procedural advice, there's Dan's testimony. I've even done another, but people are not watching, Richard. My YouTube is telling me when I've done that 33-minute with Dan, the average view time was 12 minutes. And I'm telling them I had to do another 6 minute, and the average view time on that is 2.5 minutes. Telling people, get a pen and paper, watch it again and again, take notes, because if you don't learn it, it's not going to help you. They will trick you one way or another. And what we're learning now, that's exactly what they're doing.
Right. Well, let's hope that coming on this show will get some more people over and people will start watching. And I'll put the link in the description. And let's see if we can fight back and get more people with the knowledge.
We will, because once I do the private prosecution, even if they don't know and they do something wrong, like this guy that got points today, he now has 2 witnesses that will swear first-hand knowledge on oath under the penalty of perjury, and all they have is a camera.
Yes.
So
great.
Even though they find him and give him points, he's still a winner. He's got it. He's building his case.
Let me know when you've done your private prosecution. We'll get you back on the show.
Hopefully next week it will start.
Brilliant. Brilliant work. Pany, thank you so much for coming on
the
show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And God bless you. Keep up the work. And this is what we need, more of us sharing and caring. Let's get our real nature back.
Absolutely. Well, there we are, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you found that fascinating, interesting, just as I did. I'll be back with more monologues and more wonderful guests. And don't live in fear. Check out Pany's channel, which I've left in the description as well. Until next time, from Pany and myself, thank you for watching and goodbye.